Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this new key 71st entitled Evil. Well, we're gonna spend a bit of time regarding this very crucial and existential and very important topic. We will try to define and to expand, to enlarge the concept of evil, devil, but especially evil. Why? Because we will see that it's absolutely prevalent, okay, on Earth. It's touching absolutely everything, and it can be in potential within anybody. Okay, so the goal is absolutely not the fact to take out the responsibility with the character and so on. No, it's the fact to embrace our potential shadows in order as well to face it or to face them. Actually, this is really important. Don't run away because you're afraid about this topic. The goal is absolutely not to glorify it, of course not. It's just to understand. Why? Because for solving a problem, to cope with a problem, the first step is to understand the problem, to visualize the problem, and to understand the mechanism, how does it work, and so on, in order to bring some solutions. So we will define the large concept of it. Through different videos, we'll see probably some very down-to-earth aspect. I'm just gonna show you the framework, the big picture of the, let's say, the structure of this series of videos for you to understand. And we will enlarge at the end with a big vision. Well, here we are voluntarily in a kind of desertic place in Anatolia, in the close east. This is one of the center of the civilization with Göbekli Tepe. I'm not in Göbekli Tepe, but I'm close to there. So it's where the origin of humanities, civilization came. Why this topic is so important? Why I'm talking about here? Because evil is as old as humanity. Is not recent, is not in the modern times. It's since the beginning. Here is very, you cannot see, but this is very desertic. Okay, it's very hot. It's in summer especially. It's close east, of course, near east, and I find that it's very arid. Very dry. Normally there is no vegetation except here, and I find it okay. To show you that among the desert there is always hope of an oasis where water for life keep on growing, blossoming. This is the metaphor I wanted to share with you. This is also regarding, in the notion of in the Bible, the notion of this tree for which the Christ actually one day is really upset, and he cast a spell literally to a tree, and the tree died. And actually he realized, he does apologize, and he realized that he is not mature enough to have some ability, some power, and so on. Just a metaphor as well, just to tell you that even this top 5 probably among a survey worldwide of those who are embodying the goodness, Jesus emitted evil, devil in a certain extent. He has been, let's say, provoked in the desert as well, and with himself and so on. But even Buddha, till 29 years old, he lived normally, he's a prince and so on, and it is affecting, he has an electroshock literally when he's 29 years old, when he lost his son. Okay, so he is literally, let's say, very touched, is crying and so on. Crying is reducing your vibration, so it's crediting evil. Then he's protesting against life, against everything and so on. At this moment, he was crediting as well evil. What I try to tell you that even the most important icons among the world regarding the world heritage, all of them, they emit one day or another the evil. That's why it's so important to talk also about it. Well, here it is, the framework and the structure I present, I propose to you. The first one will be an introduction and the explanation of the reason for being of this series of videos. The first point, first chapter in quote mark, will be who is the devil and Satan, or what is the devil and Satan. I just explain roughly. We will talk about the history of it, but roughly, for you to really understand, it's more an egregore, it's more thought forms. What does it mean? It means we will, quote unquote, appreciate, we will perceive evil, devil more as a energy, okay, more than a character, okay? That's the most important thing. So, who is the devil or Satan, and what is devil and Satan? Secondly, what are the attributes of the devil and his origins? What are these objectives? What is the modus operandi? What does it mean? It means the operating mode, the functioning, let's say. 5, the best coach of narcissistic perverse. What are the characteristics? We will see 30 points and explanation and characteristic of a narcissistic perverse. Why? For you to visualize, to analyze who could be. And there is different degrees, of course, but to identify who potentially, because it's a cancer. Narcissistic pervert is literally a cancer. It's dangerous for anybody. 6, not a superhero, let's say hero, but super ego, okay? Then we will talk about the ego in general, which is a minion of Satan in a certain extent. We will, by extension, we will see that is in potential within each of us. But the ego is a bad servant, is a good servant, sorry, but a bad master, and that the good balance is not ego is bad, is good, it's just a good balance. That's the point. So we'll see also the spiritual ego. 8, what are, this is the more down-to-earth and practical part, will be in the third video. What are the solutions not to fight, but to manage and thereby to neutralize evil? Okay, so first, how to manage the devil, then how to manage evil within us. Through 4 axes. First, how to manage our bad energies, our evil, potential evil. Secondly, how to deal with the hatred, the hate in general, the evil from other people. Okay, so your own one by emission, and thereby how to manage when you receive it by reception. Same way with how to manage your own jealousy, envy, criticism, okay, your own evil regarding that. And after that, so by emission and then by reception, how to manage jealousy, envy, criticism from other people in general. 9, we'll see the resonance and the egregores of fear and bad mood in general, sclerosing literally the worldwide awakening, individual awakening and collective awakening. Then 10, we will try to broaden, enlarge the perspective of the dualistic, binary and Manichaean vision. That's to say good, bad, black, white, and so on. We'll try to enlarge this perspective. And we'll finish with not a conclusion, but more an openness with the holistic perspective and affecting other things and many, let's say, larger perception. Well, let's start with kind of introduction and the reason for being of this series of keys. You remember I asked you in the last, at the end of the last, let's say, key, 70, regarding God, I asked you what is the contrary of God. And I will not reply you, of course, this is up to you, this is personal, but some people think the opposite side of God is the devil, okay, is the Satan, okay. So to be frank, if we analyze Taoism, for example, yin and the yang, you know, all of you know this picture. Some people think the black would be, for example, devil, vice versa, and the white would be God, for example. But apparently, maybe it would be the great whole, that to say it would be everything. It would be the cycle, so the content, the form, and beyond, even the blank part, I mean, and also beside the superposition and so on. It would be all in a certain extent, which is quite difficult to understand, I do agree. But to neutralize things, and in the fact that, so you're gonna think, yeah, so it means that God would have created evil and evil. For what? And yes, in a certain extent, in the notion, how do you know what's white if you don't know black? How do you know coldness and so on? Everything is a question of to emphasize, to highlight, okay? How to know the shadow, you need to know the light, and vice versa. To know what is the light. If there is only light, you don't see the light anymore, okay? So you see things through relief, okay? That's really important part. You know, it's like the goal is also to talk about evil. Why? Because it's prevalence. And, you know, it's like racism. The fact not to talk and to be forbidden about talking about this topic, credit it. Okay, it's like not being able to read Mein Kampf or to see the horrors, the horrible things from the camps, the Nazi camps and so on, would be a mistake, in the sense we have to know, okay, we have to know evil, to know what we are truly, what truly we are, to know the real self, to know the real essence, the true I am. That's the point, okay, once again. So if you run away from the evil, you take care of yourself, okay? That's the first aspect. And on the other way around, at the extreme, it's like, otherwise, it's like, you know, bury your hand in the sand. It doesn't solve the problem, okay? So this is one extreme. You don't want to see any negative things, and you don't want to see evil, okay? Or talk about evil and so on. Some people are afraid just to pronounce the word. And on the other way around, you know, it's in the notion of, you know, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, okay? What does it mean? It means that some people are positive and they see everything luminous, and other people are gloomy and they see everything dark, okay? So what does it mean? It's reversible, okay? So if you see evil everywhere, you credit evil, okay? Like I like to say, the more I gaze at the darkness, after a while, the more darkness looks at me as cast shadows, as a projection of my own shadows. If you put and you wear black sunglasses, you can read the Little Prince. It won't be colorful. It would be black, you know, dark and so on. You understand my point? Okay, you can go to, I don't know, an amazing place, an amazing restaurant and so on. If you're depressed, and if it means that you have a dark filter, you will see all negatively. That's the point. On the first extreme of the spectrum, you don't want to see evil and thereby you take care of yourself. Or at the other extreme, you see everywhere and thereby you credit it. Okay, so that's why it's very delicate topic. Why? Because it's, you know, like the tightrope walker. You know, it's to avoid to fall down in between two extremes, because this energy of evil within, which is within us, try to push us and to destabilize us, okay, from two extremes, okay? Too much confidence, not enough, and thereby you fall down. And one of the most important things is the middle way. The middle way is, is essentially from Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism, so Eastern philosophy, but it's part as well of most of, let's say, philosophies, because the goal is to avoid extremes in general. You know, I wrote the books, but I'm trying to translate it. But once again, I don't know if I will do it, because last time I translated a book was Sage Passage Utopia. I never had any comment for anybody from this planet, so I spent like 1 month to translate, then I edited, so it cost me money and so on by a professional guy and so on. At the end, for almost nothing. But you know, it's like this video in English. I do it because I think about in the future some people will watch, but otherwise, personally, I know what I try to transmit, even if some people maybe think it's bullshit and we don't care. Okay, for me, sometimes I tell you, it's hurt pain. But anyway, it's like this. Accept my mission or my transmission. Anyway, just to mention that this book, the name is The Dictatorship of Goodness. Okay, it's a provocation, it's a dystopia, it's a bit like George Orwell, you know, 1984. It's the same principle of a dystopia, is a projection of a future just to provocate reaction. Okay, so it takes place in 2050 with two words, extreme words, with extreme dictatorship of good. You are obliged to be happy all the time and so on, but people are not free anymore. And the second one is the extreme liberty, for which is the chaos, because nobody wants to have roles. You have the right to do everything, okay, but you have no duties. Okay, but anyway, it's more complex than this, and this discussion with the devil and so on, also with kind of godness and so on. So far, it's much more philosophic. If you want to help me to edit it for free, because all my books are for free, so last time I paid, but this time I swear to you, I will never pay anymore. But if you're okay, just submit the translation and you help me to edit, and it would be just a gift. Okay, as I try to give, and it wouldn't be a bestseller. It would be in that case a normal giver, a word to wise. So, you know, also why these videos, why this series? Because I've been afraid for a long time about evil in general. I was feeling, as an empath and hypersensitive person, I used to feel since I'm 2 years old the pain, the suffering of humanity from the past. I mean, from the archetypes, from the egregores, from the Akashic records and so on, and also from the present time when I was young, and then still since now. So very often I feel it. Sometimes I want to cry and I have no reason and so on. Anyway, just to tell you, but I try to embrace my fears. I try to embrace this suffering. So, you know, I used to be afraid since I'm very, very young, afraid about death. Why I wrote different books about death, why I'm doing some conference, some talks regarding that and so on. Because I try to face, okay, this fear, okay? Why I'm teaching in an orphanage in Bali, for example? Because when I was young, it was my worst fear, the fact to lose my parents. So I went there to also helping them, and I see more light than darkness with them. You understand the point? Why I try to accompany people who gonna pass away and so on? For this reason, to embrace my initial fears. And now I'm peaceful regarding that. Okay, I'm not indifferent, of course. It's a different point. I always used to be afraid about darkness. You know what I did? During 72 hours, I used a mask and so on. I was in a special block to be in the complete darkness during 72 hours. I did exactly the same thing with, because I'm claustrophobe. Claustrophobia. It means that claustrophobic means I'm afraid to be compact or blocked and so on, like in a lift. What did I do? during 72 hours, I've been blocked in a box, voluntarily, of course. I couldn't move and so on. 72 hours, imagine. Why? To embrace this fear. I'm afraid about violence initially. I did boxing, kickboxing, just to receive punch and so on. Just not to sacralize and so on, and then to fight people, of course not, but to try to manage that, to neutralize this, not by running away, turning away and so on, but to face, literally to look at this fear and to try to reduce it. I'm dyslexic. What did I do? I started to write books. Okay, I'm author. I wrote so far 70 books. Officially, I published 70 books. I wrote more than 20. So I was not afraid to do it. I mean, I used to be afraid at the beginning, and now I'm not anymore. I embrace my fears. So what I try to tell you is not to say, oh, wow, that's great to have a like. It's not this. It's just I invite you to do the same. You're afraid about evil, try to see the evil and not to fight with it. Try to embrace. Embrace means neutralize, discharge this bad energy. That's the most luminous way. This is transmutation, as we call it in alchemy. Well, you know, the synonym of peace is salvation, okay? And the contrary would be fear. You know, there is essentially two forces managing, I mean, the dynamic of the universe is through two forces. This is what the Course in Miracle states, not only in spirituality. Love, fear, okay? Love, fear. Love could be associated with unity, Y-O-U-N-I-T, okay, within you. Unity, God, okay, the absolutes, okay, harmony, unity. And the second one, fear, is segmentation, is separation, okay. It could be associated with Satan, okay, Diabolus, and so on, evil, devil, and so on. Okay, just to make it short and really in a binary dimension, because then we will see that life is not black, white, it is not binary, it is also like a rainbow. There is different shades, of course, because there is also yin, yang, there is not only evil person, there is always systematically, maybe someone is suffering and is very bad with people and so on. There is always a hope. There is maybe 10% of good part within. And on the other way around, some people seems to be perfect and very nice and gentle and so on, and they have a little part of darkness. Always think like this. And that's why I invite people also to think more about the positive part. Don't reject someone because you don't like 40% or 60%. Just focus on the positive part. Do you know a lot of people completely perfect? Personally, I never met. Okay, if you knew, contact me, because it would be it would be a phenomenon. Well, let's continue. Why is so important? We are in a real cacophonic period, very troubled. Everything and the opposite things are said. There is a confusion with shortcuts, with stigmatization, with amalgam, with many confusion. That's why it was so important, the key I did regarding key 46, regarding lucidity and discernment. The fact to try to reach not the truth, but that's a kind of so-called subjective truth, that to say to be closer, but it's very difficult to keep on being aligned with you, to be anchored and also aligned with your good frequencies, because there is so much low vibration everywhere, and the fact to see evil everywhere and to feel it, the risk is that you fall down into this darkness, and that you created this darkness as well. So the goal, you know, is like venom. A venom, you inject a little bit. You inject. A vaccine. You inject a bit of venom to be immunized against the disease. Okay, so the fact to inject a little bit of this knowledge regarding evil allows you to be more solid and to be more, let's say, prepared, let's say. So the most objective of this series is to restore a momentum of hope, to reassure, to clarify as well the confusion, the cacophony, and not to bury your head in the sand, but also to realize with real eyes the real lies, in a certain extent, to be more lucid. Okay. You know, this is the appeal of a discernment with lucidity, with cerebral hygiene, means positiveness also, kind of SOS, save our soul, because the awakening is a part of it, individual awakening and a collective awakening. You know, in this book I talk a lot about freedom. To have lived in different countries for which the notion of freedom is a bit different, and somewhere it doesn't exist almost. What's freedom? Okay, the name in Mandarin, in Chinese, Fakuo, France, where I'm coming from, means the country of law. Why? Because it's the first country to have been independent regarding the authorities and so on. But what's literally freedom? The extreme freedom can bring to the chaos, can bring to extreme freedom can annihilate destroyed freedom. Take an example. If you, the highway code, okay, when you drive, if you say no, I'm free, I do whatever I want, and so okay, so you don't stop, for example, in a light, in a green, red light, for example, or stop, and so on. What will happen? Accident. That's obvious. So it's not attacking your freedom. It's just common rules, common sense. You know, we forgot, a lot of countries and a lot of citizens in the world forgot one thing very important. Rules. There are rules. Cosmos is a notion, means literally order. There is orders. So will and for collaboration. Okay, roles. In a family you have roles. Some schedules, some and so on. It's normal, common sense. Freedom, it's the fruit of rights and also duties. It's, let's say, dual, but you cannot have only rights and without duties. Otherwise, I have the right to do everything. I have the right to touch the ass of someone, okay? Or I don't know, I don't like your face, I punch you, okay? I have the right. Of course not. You understand the point. So this is really important because the current situation, I see more and more the reduction of freedom, and also activated by the indirect, unconscious behavior of a lot of people. Okay, so just one thing, keep in mind: the more you try to struggle and to fight with darkness, the more you activate darkness. We will see that many times. So we will use a lot of words like discernment, disempowerment, ego, lucidity, divine and demoniac, a dimension within, okay? Duality, holistic, freedom, resonance, egregor. So, first of all, who is the devil or Satan, on what is the devil? There is a double face, there is a double question as well. Who is it and what is it? Okay, concretely. So, we can say devil and Satan is the same thing or the same concept, okay? It's like a synonym, as you say, God, and when you say the living or the source, okay? Devil means literally divine, to separate, okay? It's implying the fact to separate from the absolute God, okay? This is also the notion of divine and conquer, okay? Divine people amongst each other, but also within yourself, individually. What does it mean? Create confusion, okay, inner conflicts, okay, lack of, I don't know, self-confidence, for example, or at the other extreme, too much confidence and to be arrogant, to be, and so on, okay? That's the point. We could summarize the concept of Satan through three things. I mean, etymologically speaking, even that is really interesting because within the history and the perception regarding spirituality, religion, it evolved in terms of human perception through times, and also it's, I'm not saying it's contradictory, but is different perception, okay, showing the notion of I mean, the main, let's say, reason for being of it is to create the confusion. So it means the enemy, okay, implying enemy of mankind, okay, because it's a kind of sabotage, and to separate mankind with unity, the divine unity. Second one is the obstacle. You know, in the obstacle of light, okay, you can see shadow. I mean, you can see the light thanks to shadow. There's always this notion of duality, shadow, highlight, light, okay, to just emphasize also. This is the accuser as well, or the defamator. Defamator, it means because he tried to cast the shadows towards people, to attract people in the darkness, in the dark energy in general. So we can see that the perception within humanity changed a bit through ages, because there is two perception of Satan. Satan with a capital letter, which is a kind of character, an icon, a person, okay, kind of. And the second one, Satan without a capital letter, means it is an adjective. Okay, an adjective means it is in a potential within anybody. So we will talk more about that, by the way, more on the potential of the perversion of everything. Every luminous idea can be perverted. Every negative idea can be, let's say, enlightened. Okay, take nuclear. It can be a force to create things, electricity and so on. Okay, you can kill people with electricity. Okay, this is same for everything. A knife, it can help for arts and craft to cut your food and so on, and you can kill people. Okay, so everything has a double polarity. That's important. Okay, so I'm gonna quote Rumi, Shamet Tabriz, sorry, who lived not very far from here, 100 kilometers from here in Konya. I'm in Anatolia here. Sorry, and he said the following: the whole universe is contained within a single human being, you. Everything that you see around, including the things that you might not be fond of, and even the people you despise or abhor, is present within you in varying degrees. Therefore, don't look for Satan outside yourself either. The devil is not an extraordinary force that attacks you, attacks from without. It is an ordinary voice within. If you set to know yourself fully, facing with honesty and hardness, if you come to know yourself completely, if you can honestly and harshly confront both your dark side and your light side, you will arrive at a supreme form of consciousness. When a person knows himself, he knows God. So, what's the key important things here to keep in mind is, first, you have the devil part within, in potential, okay, when you hate people, when you don't like people and so on. If you're not peaceful with that, it means that you still have this bad energy within. Okay, fear, hate, and so on and so forth. That's the most important thing. In the evolution of the perception of Satan, actually, there is the notion of accuser, okay, for testing the faith of people. You know, it's like, you know, how do you know if you're honest, if someone proposed to you a bribe, right? And if you refuse it, it means that you're honest, okay? So this is for testing, literally, the human faith. So, what are the attributes of the devil and his origins? So, these are kind of skills in quota mark, of course, like greed, jealousy, avarice, and so on. You know, it's exactly what I try to explain in polytheism, in the key regarding God. Polytheism means several gods. It's hidden monotheism. Why? Because there is systematically at the top of the pantheon a god, the unique god, Brahma, Zeus, Jupiter, and so on and so forth. Okay, so whatever the myth or the mythology. Okay, so we could say is the same principle. So initially it's full of devils, okay, full of demons, okay, like devil, Satan, Lucifer, Mephistopheles, Beelzebub, Belphegor, Baal, Leviathan, Mammon, Baphomet, Ahriman, devil, evil, and so on and so forth. Then it has been centralized in a certain extent through only one character, one person, okay, in quota mark, Satan. Lucifer is a little bit different. It's really tricky because originally Lucifer, lux in Latin means light. Lucifer is the light holder or a bearer of light. Okay, so he's supposed to be the one who reveal knowledge initially, and then depravity. Okay, so initially, but you know, it's always this question of, do we have to know everything? It's like Rumi said, the real knowledge is to know what you need to ignore. Do I need to know, to have the picture of what's happening at 500 kilometers here in Syria, for example, the war and so on in Ukraine and so on? Do I need to know all the horrible things on this planet for what? For being even more aggressive, painful, and so on and so forth, sad and so on, to credit the bad energies? This is the quick question. So, you know, this notion, this is like, let's go further. This is the principle of, in the Genesis, the apple of knowledge. It's apparently not necessarily bad things, like initially Lucifer's objective was just knowledge. If you are innocent kid, you don't know you're gonna die, and so on. So you don't have so many problems, and so on. So the notion of the Genesis, the apple, is just the fact to understand that you're not animal anymore, you are human. And human means you have the knowledge of the separation. You're gonna die one day, there is something not eternal within life, and so on. You are different from this person, and you are a part of the consciousness. This is the goal, ultimate goal is to find back this unity. But at this first point is to know that there is this and that, there is here and there, and so on, is the separation, which is existential. To exist means, literally in Latin, means to separate. We have been obliged to be separated from the unity to do the experience, to experiment life in general. That's the point, okay? So let's continue. This is completely the notion of the duality, the experience of duality. Once again, darkness, highlight, light. Okay, how do you know if you're honest? Thanks to corruption, and so on and so forth. Okay, so at the beginning, once again, Lucifer is not negative or positive, it's just trying to bring knowledge, and then there is deprivation. It's another story. You know, this notion of knowledge and double face is like in Kundalini, the snake, the serpent. Serpent is prevalent in all civilization. The serpent is tricky. Why? Because like Kundalini, you can activate, it can be super dangerous. Okay, you can die almost, or finish crazy. If you activate properly, it's a real richness. So it's creative and destructive potential. It's like Shakti. Shakti, the divinity, the goddess for Hinduism, has the capacity to give birth to the child, I mean to her child, the children, and also to eat them. Potential of creativity and destruction. Well, what are the manifestation of kind of evil, devil, is the fact that if the spirit, quote mark, the energy of the Satan, the bad, I mean, the evil, would be nourished and crystallized through different things. Like when you do literally a kind of contract of a consciously or unconsciously, you know, like in the myth of Faust, okay, for those who know Goethe and German literature. The second one is in the notion of who doesn't say a word consents. Who doesn't say a word consents. What does it mean? If you don't protest against something which is said to you or revealed to you unconsciously, you activate it. Okay, this is a principle of energy. 3. Those who sacrifice the ego, you know, always empowering. I like hashtag I love myself, always taking selfies, selfish, gloomy. I mean, in the notion of just sacralization of the ego, okay, of the materialization and so on. This is a kind of, I'm not blaming that, I'm just saying that if you are always arrogant and always in the cult of your personality, you are reducing, of course, the energies of unity with other people in general. That's quite obvious. And the most important is activating low vibration. Low vibration is all what is not luminous and harmonious. Okay, what is it? Fear, hate, jealousy, or when you don't feel, let's say, this is all the separation in general. What are the objectives of, let's say, the Satan in general? Is simple. There are 3. Demonstrate that mankind, human man is unworthy of God, of the divine union. Okay, that's why he didn't want to pray in front of the humans. That's why he decided to let's say to live in a certain extent the paradise. I mean, this is literally literature what I'm saying, or religion for those who knows, who believe in it. I'm respecting, but it's just kind of metaphor, you can say. So this is essentially to test your faith, and at the end it is a question of embodying a choice. Okay, the frontier between what you want, what you don't want. The real I am is the divine essence of choosing, not imposed, but suggested. Okay, you know, in a video game, I say several times, in the programmation, if you have I don't know, a competition of I don't know, you know, sword, okay, just a competition, okay, fine, and if the creator of the game made the programmation for you to kill literally the ref and or someone of the, you know, the I don't know, spectator, and it's possible. Of course, it's not the goal of the game. Otherwise, if you do that, if you kill the ref, I think it's game over and you lost. But you can do it. Okay, it's a potential. So it means it has been. It's a question of choice. If everything is imposed and you can only do, let's say, binary movements and gesture, there is no free will with this. Okay, so that's the subtlety also of the fact that it's the Satan embodies the choice. what are the operating model? Let's say by divine and role. I think I explained already on divine and conquer. What does it mean? It means between people, okay, to create confusion, opposition, comparison, and so on so far. The proselytism, the fact I think that, so I want to impose you my vision of things, religious, politics, and so on so far, okay? Between people, between communities, between religions, and so on and so forth, and also within ourselves, like, you know, inner conflicts, and knowing that we are not stable all the time. Sometimes we are tired, sometimes, and we are different people, and we have different roles, different masks of the personality. Personality. Persona means the mask. Okay, so this is also important. The operating process is especially with crediting the low vibration of all the segmentation feelings or behavior I quote before. Okay, concretely is always using is, let's say, very proud, and also it tend to diminish people in general, you know, and it's really what we're gonna see in the next video, the characteristic of a narcissistic pervert. Always up and down, always flattering the ego of people, and in parallel of that, destroying the ego of people. Oh, you're so nice, and so on, and then a few hours later, you're so ugly, and so on, and then you cannot manage anymore. You are confused. You don't feel, you don't trust yourself. You are not self-confident anymore, and so on. So this is the inner voice. And this is the inner part that we have within. Okay. So this is the link that we will see, of course, with in the next chapter, in the next video, this notion of the 30 different characteristics of a narcissistic pervert. Why? Because it's so important to identify, because this is a cancer, a danger, a black hole, attracting you and all the light, let's say, within, and this is really dangerous. Well, I just hope this is more literally, okay, all what we saw today. Next videos will be more down to earth with pragmatic vision. Well, I just hope that it will help you to shape your master key to open up the door of consciousness, love, whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome and to the Dome and to home. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.